back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And it is November. It's no longer your birthday month.
Yes.
We hope
Thank
you had
God.
a good Halloween last what'd you say?
I said thank God.
We hope you all had a good Halloween last weekend. And it's full on November now.
Yeah, it's cold outside.
It's NaNoWriMo month, which I was going to do, but National Novel Writing Month. But I haven't started yet, so I'm sort of...
Yeah, because you have so much time on your hands.
I know, but I really wanted to do it. Anyway, we'll see. But are you going first, Steve?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going first. So, this is an FFO that I completed earlier this month. This is Stitching with the Housewives, Foxy Fall. I'm pointing.
So cute.
I had put it on that little house, and but I didn't have anything at the top, and I knew I wanted something at the top. I finally picked something and found something to put up there. So,
Oh, that was what you were looking for the buttons for or whatever? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's cute.
I finished fully finishing that. While I was at it, I went ahead and made the little fall broom. I bought some stuff. It was hanging on the door until a few minutes ago.
Oh, cute.
So it'll be back on that door later on.
And you can remove all that fall stuff and put Christmas stuff?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Yeah. Not that we don't have Christmas wreaths, but, you know. And then I FFO'd this. This is Thanksgiving. I think it's called Thankful What's in My Cup. But it's also by Stitching with the Housewives. I believe I showed you this pumpkin unfinished.
Uh-huh.
I just pretended that it didn't have those grooves down the middle and put stuff on top. I took off the ugly little piece of fluff they had there as a bow. And and it left this huge glop of glue that I could not get off. So I put stuff over it.
That looks neat.
So this hangs.
It's so beautiful.
Corn. Looks really...
This hangs, but you know I could also just prop it on something. So
That's cute.
I like that. And I made this table runner a year ago, and I forgot last month that it has a Halloween.
It's a pumpkin.
It has a Halloween. I wish I could flip it up from the other side.
Here, I'll flip it from here. It's under all my stuff. It's a pumpkin.
And the other side has Halloween themed fabric.
Here's the other side. And is each pumpkin different, or is the whole thing the same?
They're about the same.
That's the other side she forgot she had. All of October. And now it's November. Cute. Pumpkins.
Yeah. So I did that mostly yesterday because Beth wanted to go to Joann's because we had gone to the attic, and then she wanted to get stuff for something that she'll talk about that later from the attic. She wanted to pick up some stuff at Hobby Lobby. We did that, and she couldn't find what she wanted, so we wanted to go to Joann's. So we were running around all over the place, and so I didn't FFO those until yesterday. But then when we got done with that, I was very tired. So we didn't go to Joann's and the attic and Hobby Lobby all on the same day, but it felt like it. So I had been quilting, and I also finished this, and I haven't finished it. It needs a little it needs threads cut off, and it needs I have a little pumpkin charm.
I thought I saw it. Yeah.
It has a little pumpkin charm that's going to go on this, and a notions pouch. And this hopefully will be up on the Etsy site by the time you see it.
What does the back look like?
The back is...
Oh, that's so cute. Turkeys.
Is this little Snoopy looking dog, and
wearing a turkey costume?
Wearing a turkey costume, yeah. And there's threads everywhere still because I haven't, one of the last things I do is I go through and I make sure that all the threads are cut off. So I was going to sew some more on this, and I'm going to make a bag that looks like this, but that our traditional bag. It's not going to look exactly like the bags that I made before because I can't find my pattern. But it's enough that it'll be very, very close. So I was working on this. It was making me mad, so I had to keep putting it down. But it has a fancy zip. So this one has... Sorry. I picked it because it was black, but it has scissors. The little holes, they look like scissors. Or bunny rabbits. But they're supposed to be scissors.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
They're supposed to be scissors. So this will be appearing on our Etsy shop soon. Hopefully before you see this on Sunday. The problem is that every time we film a video, I have to take all my sewing stuff down. And getting the wherewithal to put it all back takes some time. But
Takes mental effort.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I say. I have to get mental energy to do whatever. It's like,
So, but I was also yesterday, not just yesterday, but one of the things I was doing yesterday was working some more on this Calico Cats Missouri Star Quilt Company pattern adjusted because I cannot sew. Okay, that's not why, but I have all of the rows made. I have a stack here. I have all of the rows done.
Oh, nice.
And I have the sashing rows with the cornerstones put in. So now I just need to sew it all together. And then I have to figure out what I'm going to do for the border. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use those pieces of fabric, but I know I don't have enough to go all the way around. So I need to pick another fabric to make that outer border, and I'm thinking black. I think it would set off this gray.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would look cool with that piano border I'm talking about, and just get a basic black, and I think that'll look fantastic on that. So that's where I am on this quilt that has been the bane of my existence since earlier this year. It's Beth's fault.
It's Beth's fault because I wanted to make it for her.
She doesn't need it, so.
She didn't ask for it either.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It can't be Beth's fault.
It is her fault because she likes cats and she likes black and gray. So,
I gotta blame somebody.
I finished my WIP-GO challenge last month doing the Holly Jolly Berry. And I have been working on the, my own pattern, The Greatest Story. I just didn't bring it over here because visually it doesn't look very different than it did last week. It's, excuse me, a lot of little blue squares. But for this month, I decided to do the Christmas lantern first because I was excited I was finally going to work on it. I thought I bought it, but it was a year ago June that I bought it. A year ago June, and I still had not started this. So, this is the pattern, Twin Peak Primitives Christmas lantern, and I did a center start. And this is a DMC fabric, 14 count Aida in metallic gold. And this is my start. Now, you'll see a picture right here, and it won't look any different than what you're looking at right now, but it is. In person, you can see that there's a start of a flower right here. You can almost see. Right here.
Oh,
When I purchased this fabric, and I've had this fabric almost as long as I've had the pattern, waiting for me to work on this. It looked dark enough to me that the white would show up. And it doesn't. But rather than choose something else to do the outside of the flowers, I'm talking about this flower right here under the bird. The other flowers mostly are surrounded by other things. If I feel like you really cannot see the flower, I'll just backstitch around it because I like this fabric and I don't want to choose something else for the thread. So, because in person, it shows up, and I think it will more once there's more to it, but it shows up because it's not sparkly and the background is sparkly. So the white is not going to show up at all on this background. As a matter of fact, I was stitching it like this.
Oh no.
You know, because I couldn't tell where I was stitching. But I know I'm going to like the way it looks because I love the way that green looks on there. So, and most of it is not the white flowers. There are a lot of white flowers, but the white flowers are surrounded by other things. So, I'm not going to worry about it until I need to worry about it. And then, so that was, I'm supposed to do 15 days on that. And then I'm going to do 15 days on cute boots. And I did a tiny bit more on the nativity berry. I got the dinner plate on the back of Joseph's head. Somebody please comment.
It's
What
a
is that
halo.
Is it a halo? Why would
Yeah.
they have halos?
Well,
because they're the
it's
Holy
just
Family.
a holy halo, kind of like
they're
an
not
angel.
angels.
No,
No, they're just the Holy Family.
I just think that's what like Renaissance painters
Yeah.
and stuff did. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's easier to call it dinner plate, like Mark does. He always call it that.
Yeah. So, and you know the pattern for the faces, it has an either or color. One of them makes them look more Caucasian, and the other browner. And so I'm like, I don't know which one I want to use because I think the Caucasian color will look better in the pattern.
On the,
And the facial features will show up better. But realistically, they weren't white.
Yeah.
You know? So I did that little bit, and the reason I haven't been working on it a lot is because I was working on Christmas Lantern, and I have a finish. The pin pillow,
I saw that on
America
Instagram.
Michaels. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So my picture that I took, I'm like, God, that looks crooked. It's not crooked. So I can't wait to do the matching berry. I am going to finish this pretty much like it looks in the picture, just a little pin pillow, because Beth keeps buying little thingies to put pillows in, so it needs another pillow. Fortunately, because that's where all my berries are.
Oh.
I will eventually have the berries with the seasonal stuff,
Yeah.
but since I've been working on them, I haven't gotten those seasons out.
Yeah.
Right? So when I put away the like bunny rabbits and stuff like that,
Summer. And summer stuff. Oh, I see what you're saying.
I haven't put away the summer stuff yet because I don't really have summer stuff other than 4th of July. Anyway, I put away some of them, but you okay?
My back hurts. It's been hurting all day.
And The last cross stitch I've been working on is, of course, Autumn Berries, little happy fall y'all guy. And I have 2 more leaves to do up here. I have to do the words and fill in. I've decided to go ahead and fill in this banner. And then there's an acorn with some leaves down here. So I am not anywhere near done,
And that's a
but
berry?
maybe half done. Huh?
That's a berry?
Yeah, it'll
So
be a
his
berry.
arms wrap all the way around the berry?
The banner wraps all the way around the berry, and and his arms go most of the way. So the stitching line for the berry, when you sew it together, that stitching line goes right through this stitching. So you actually sew right through your cross stitch. Rude.
Wow.
Rude. But that's where the pattern is, so okay. So I didn't mean to take this out. So I had on my channel, I have over 200
Nice.
subscribers. I was all excited, and so I have a giveaway going on my channel. Go over there if you want to see it. I have the patterns in here, and I was going to show them. Maybe I should. So on my channel, I'm going to talk about it again this coming Monday, and which would be November
6,
6th,
7,
7th.
7.
Okay.
It's Monday.
So,
I was just looking at a calendar.
and then the week after that is when I'm giving them away. So I'm giving everybody 2 weeks to comment and stuff. So one of the ones I'm giving away is OMG, they got me a whole tree.
Cute.
It's the partner to the one I just finished,
Oh,
Felice Naughty Dog. And I'm considering going to buy myself one of these because it comes with the little there, buttons for the tree, for the ornaments, because you know the cat would want to be getting those. There's one on the ground, I think. No, not one on the ground. It's the dog one, but there's one on the ground. When I was
Let me see.
When I was growing up, we had to tie the tree to the curtain rod because the cats would go up it and knock it
That's
down.
so cute.
So you can go on my.
Let me see the Naughty Dog one again.
And then, yeah,
I remember
I
when-
think I need to make the set.
That year that Luna, I think it was, took an ornament from the tree and she had it in her mouth and
It's glass.
Yeah, and Naomi went, Luna, and she dropped it and it hit this thing and they broke it.
She's like, I didn't break it.
You told me to put it down.
If you hadn't startled me.
And the other one, because 200, so I thought, 2, is the same designer, Dirty Annie's Southern Style, but this one is not a pattern.
She should take a bath. She should take a bath. Sorry.
Yeah, but then maybe her patterns wouldn't be so cute.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's it. That's her secret power.
This says, Happy Thanksgiving, get your fat pants ready. It has pictures of pies and, stuff. Anyway, so I'm giving those 2 away on my channel. And so this coming week will be your last opportunity to try to get one of those. And
Oh, so you can, if you go into our description below the video, there is a link to our link tree, and you click that, and it will have our Etsy shop, and then it will have Beth's YouTube channel and Eve's YouTube channel listed in there.
Yeah.
And so you can find her.
And they've said something
channel.
about you can choose your own handle. And
Yeah.
so I went to try to do that, and I cannot. Everything that they said how to do it doesn't work.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
Oh well, On your video, on your channel, or for this one?
Either of them.
Oh, because this one it said you can do it now, so
I know.
maybe they're rolling it out.
I don't know. It just wouldn't work. So when I went, finally, I got it in. Yay! I've been waiting for this since August. It's
The hand-on
it's the
design.
next one, the next pillow set,
Yeah.
and these all look like quilt blocks on all of them, right? I love this one.
Oh, let me see.
We got the autumn
Autumn basket,
Oh,
autumn basket triple play.
those are all. I like this one, the star one. That's so pretty.
Aren't they beautiful?
Nice.
So
Did it come with the threads in the back?
no,
Oh, you
I
bought them.
I bought them, and these are the ones. These are the ones that were not in anything else right now. So,
I was wondering why they were in the bag. I just,
because I want to keep them together.
Yeah.
And when I choose a fabric, I might stick that in there too. So, because my problem is when I go to work on it, it takes me forever to find everything because I have it all separated. I'm not going to do that anymore. So I got this for myself, and I was going to get myself the cat pattern because, like I've been saying, excuse me, like I've been saying,
We're familiar with naughty cats.
that is a family.
Tradition.
It is a family experience. But I saw this and I had to have it.
I almost got that one.
I had to have
Let me
it.
see.
And I will be stitching that in December.
Oh my goodness. That is so beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful? But I haven't decided what fabric I want to put it on.
I love the underneath.
The snow.
Yeah. That's so pretty.
I had never
I like the long
seen this
legs.
designer before, but they had her up on the new stuff for a few weeks, and her things are so different from everybody else's.
I have, I think one or two patterns of this Dirty Annie Southern. So I know I have. Oh. I have a couple of them because I had noticed it before.
I'll take a picture of this, but you cannot see that there's snowflakes
I
all
like
over.
the subtlety, actually.
But I would like them to be just a little bit more visible.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of using, just a slightly bluer fabric, even if I have to dye it.
Yeah. Very light, though. I do like the subtlety. I was thinking about that. I was like, first I thought, you can't see this. But I thought, no, white on white is kind of cool.
And I had told myself, just use DMC conversions, stop buying fancy floss, because it has gone up so much in price. I paid $8 for this fancy floss right here.
$8 for the whole set, all of it?
For
four, not a piece.
No, for 4 things of fancy floss. $8.
As a yarn buyer, that makes me not bat my eyes, but I understand.
Well, then I had to also pay for the
No, it is true.
But they got in so many of the Gentle Art threads and the classic color. I mean, they just, like, they had a whole shipment of threads. And I was like, oh, look, they have that one. Oh, look, they have that one. Now, I went ahead and got Old Money, even though I was pretty sure that I already had it. And of course, I already had it. But for some reason,
That's a neat name
It
for a
doesn't-
color.
yeah, and it does look like Old Money.
Yeah.
For some reason, some of these threads don't show up when I look for them. The Classic Colorworks and the, so I just was like, well, I think I have it, but I'll just get it. So I'm anxious to start on this. I think that is just, it's so beautiful.
It's elegant. It's an elegant design. It's so
It's
nice.
a little bit bigger than the other ones I was showing you, but It's so cute. And then I don't have the picture. I don't know what happened to it. One of the times that I was showing it, it got separated from the product. I've been working on this. This is Letters to Santa. It's a Mill Hill kit. All I have left to do is the beading. But I need to do it on a table. And I was like, I think I should do it while we're doing this. So that is what I'm going to be working on. Doing beading. And hopefully, last time I got 8 beads done. Hopefully I can get more done than 8. Anyway, on to you guys.
You going next or shall I?
I can.
Okay.
So I think, I meant to, I don't think I brought it out here. I finished the, it's like I was saying earlier, we're filming on Thursday to release the video on Sundays, just so that.
Because my weekends are getting crazy.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
But then, of course, my video I film on Saturday, and things happen between them, and so I can't remember what I've talked about on here and what I've talked to because it's very similar. And it used to be before, when we did both things on the same day. I just would have a little bit of stuff that I had done since we filmed or whatever. But so last week I showed the Christmas towel, and I was not quite finished with it, but I did finish it like Friday, I think. Because we filmed on Thursday, so I think I finished it on Friday. So it's done. So I can insert a picture here, because I did take a picture of the finished thing.
Oh yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah. Because I put the reins on it.
I was like, you did the reins.
Yeah. So, and the reins aren't perfect. I kind of was looking at it going, well, I should have done this and I should have done that. But I didn't want to sit at the computer and plot it all out. So and actually, for the upper rein between Rudolph and the first reindeer, I stitched it and unstitched it and stitched it and unstitched it like 3 or 4 times before I got the and even so, I was looking at it going,
Excuse the noise.
But so I at one point I just said, forget it. I'm just doing it the way it's coming out the way it's coming out. So, and because you want to get that sort of angle so it looks a little more natural the way, but it's like, yeah, too bad it ain't happening. But so I finished the Christmas towel, and so I actually had 3 finishes for the month of October, and I had just posted that between the Witchy Stitchy Challenge, which was to stitch at least 20 minutes a day. Excuse me, my nose is trying to be tickly. 20 minutes a day, every day in the month of October, with a few, they make a few allowances.
I didn't have any skip days.
I don't think I did either. I didn't post every day because I forgot at one point. I had like two or 3 days in a row where I had forgotten to post. I had been stitching every day, but I had just not taken the picture and posted, taken a picture and posted. But but for the month of October, I did stitch 31 days. So I had and I did WIP-GO, and I was still working on the my sampler thing from Crossstitch Camp, Crossstitch Camp's sampler September challenge kind of thing. So anyway, so I finished Beneath the Bow, which the scissor fob, which was one of my WIP-GO challenges, and I finished the Christmas towel, which is another of my WIP-GO projects, and I finished the bunny sampler for cross stitch camp. So I had 3 finishes for the month of October, and it was, you know, nothing to sneeze at because I had a lot to do for October. So, but also at the beginning of the month and toward the end of the month, I did work on my October rabbit, and this is the one that I had the invisible rabbit start on. But so I did. I finished the one rabbit in. It's not the winter white. It's quince blossom. Is this white color that this rabbit is, and then this one is I want to say acorns, and then this is a evergreen dark color. So I think all the other colors that are in this pattern will show up pretty well on this you know, difficult fabric. It's Murano Carre rust from Hobby Lobby. But so this is the little bit I did on the October rabbit. I also worked on the smaller berry of the Nativity berry. This is the one that Eve's doing the bigger one and I'm doing the little one. And so I'm stitching 1/1 on 25 count Murano Carre in steel blue is the color.
Do you have more than dinner plates done?
Yeah, I have all. This is all there's another color that goes in here, but all of this it's whiskey is the color. Mm-hmm. So I did this little star here, and you it's hard to see from this distance, so, but I'm gonna have a picture of it, and I'm working on the blue of Mary's robe, and I did discover one thing, and part of it is a mistake on the pattern. I think it's a mistake. I decided to change it anyway. Whether it's a mistake or not, I decided to change it. And then I also had a counting mistake. So it's partly her mistake, partly my mistake, if you want to say. But anyway, so I just stitched over one of the squares with blue over this gold color, so that it evened out the way it was. And then the other thing with the mistake I made, I'm gonna fix that a little bit. But so I'm working on the dark blue of her robe, and I should finish it. But I think I'm all finished with this color. The other issue I had with the pattern is that there's a larger pattern with the whole berry, and then there's a smaller, what do you call it? A more detailed page with the all the stuff that's in the nativity manger kind of area. And so I was looking at that so I could see a little better, you know, the halos and all that stuff that I was working on. It's kind of hard to see on this picture, but in the little stable that they're in, there's a manger, and in the manger there's straw, right? And so in the larger version of the pattern, there were solid circles for the hay, right? So I'm looking at the color key, and there was nothing on there with the solid circle. There was nothing in the key with the solid circle. So I thought, well, maybe it's supposed to be the open circles that they were using for the halos, you know, because I thought, okay, with the straw, maybe it's the same color as the halos, you know. So so I had that in the back of my mind, and because I wasn't working on the straw yet. But then I decided to use the larger detail of the stable to get a better look at, you know, to just see the halos more easily and all that stuff. And on that version of the pattern, there's a different symbol used for the straw, and it's actually the color straw. in the color code. So fortunately, I hadn't gotten to that part yet, because then in that detailed picture, I think it was more correct. So that was a little issue that I caught in this pattern. But like I said, I just did, I think a couple of days working on this. So I'll work on that a little more. And then the other thing I did was I started my November Rabbit, which is this one. And I was a little...
Is that upside down?
Yes, it is. It's all the same. By ink circles, Rabbit by ink circles.
Excuse me, how many inches is a yard? 36?
Yes.
Okay. I spaced that out.
So this is November, and in looking for a fabric, I decided to use this mustard fabric that I had done May on. So when I did May, because I was doing Mania and I was doing WIP-GO and everything else, I had just had a very small start on the May Rabbit, and it was just this little couple of colors. But so I thought, this mustard, this is Marron Carré, 28 count from Hobby Lobby. And so I used this same mustard color for the November Rabbit. So this one is winter white, this white bunny. And then these little carrots. I don't know how well they show up on the camera, but in person I think they're fine. And this is the one color I was a little concerned about because it's
the carrot color.
Yeah, mm-hmm. But it came out really well, I think. So and then the rabbit has like one square in the eye and then a square on the tail. That's a kind of a pink color. This yeah, you can't see it. It's a pink red desert rose color. But so this is the May one that shares the fabric with the October one. But so it should work very nicely. So that's all I've done so far, because November is only 3 days long so far. What was I trying to say? Oh, both Eve and I were talking about, we both did the Witchy Stitchy challenge, and as of it was over as of October 31st, and although there is she has a stitch every day kind of thing going on embroidery.com, which is where the Witchy Stitchy challenge was originated from. But so she has an ongoing stitch every day kind of thing that people do. But so we were both going, oh yeah, it's like November is kind of the end of the. It's not a tyranny exactly, but it feels that way sometimes. Like, oh, I have to take a picture. Oh, I have to take a picture. Oh, I have to take a picture. Because you want to take a picture and post it of what you
It wasn't
what you
just
worked on.
taking a picture. You have to post the before and after.
Yeah, and so
keep track on your camera.
Yeah, so it's like.
I see my memories from last year, and it stresses me out.
Well, fortunately, the after picture that you take becomes the before picture,
well, of course,
for the next day.
Still.
So that helps, but it's always, that was where like I said, there was a couple of days in there where
if you're
I had
stitching on the same thing.
I'd forgotten to post, even though I was stitching every day, because I was thinking, I have this challenge going on. And everything else, but I just had forgotten to take a picture and post it. I had the pictures, but I just hadn't posted it. So, but so it's kind of a relief to just ignore the posting for a while, and but yeah. So I'm working on that, And the other stuff I have is I think I'm going to talk about in stories. So I think I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I have done nothing this week but work on this sleeve. And I'm done. That's what I've been doing over here is measuring. And if you saw me, I was counting frantically because I very smartly and wisely, I put these locking pins at the end of the cuff and at the end of the straight stitching. And then this part is the decreases. And then I put a marker at the end of the decreases and then knitted to the length. So I was just counting those rows so that the second sleeve will be exactly the same length. But my dilemma that I was sitting here contemplating, what I'm doing now is taking this off my knitting needles. And Vicki, Vicki, you sent me this because you do magic loop. You started learning magic loop socks, which I don't do, but I really love this needle. This has been like my go-to partner needle to make sure, because I think I talked about with the body of the sweater, in order to try it on, you have to have 2 circulars to stretch the stitches out to their normal size. So I used this. And what I'm going to do with this now is hold, and this also held the other half of my my shawl when I was working on that part. And then I'm going to use this to hold this sleeve so that I can use these needles to knit the other sleeve. And it's nice to have an actual needle. It's not the right stitch size, but it can be knitted off knitted off. I don't know what that English word would be, but you can use it to.
Isn't it funny that we speak English and we still
don't know how to speak it? So that I can still use this.
I'm sorry, it's not funny. It's usual.
Yeah, it's a part of life. But so I can use this needle to when I go to pick up the stitches, it will be very easy. I can just knit straight from this. That's what it is. Knit from this needle. Even though it's a different size, because it doesn't matter when you're taking it off. It only matters when you're making the new stitches. So, so I'm going to save this arm and start the new arm. So I brought when I start, because I'm sorry, I'm making a mess here. When I start this smaller circumference, I have to start it on these double pointed needles.
She doesn't have enough needles.
I have many sets.
It's like me and
I'm
my
not
scissors.
ashamed. Well, the thing that is great is that like this needle that I've been stitching on is a 16-inch needle set.
Yes,
And the new Chai-Gu set is regular, like larger circumference. Excuse me. Larger circumference needles, and these are for very small. Like I made that sheep on these because you have to use. This is small double pointed needles. This is a nice set. So you can make hats on them, but the 16-inch are easier. But so they have 2 pointed ends. So this is what you use usually. What I prefer, my sock method, is double points. So I have this nice set. This is a ginger set by Knit Picks. Knit Picks? Is this Knit Picks? I can't remember. But anyway, this is the ginger set. It's I want to say it's Knit Picks. I can't. Oh, Knitter's Pride. Sorry, Knitter's Pride. Knitter's Pride double point ginger set. I love them. What I like about them is that they're not as slippery as metals. So they won't just fall out of your stitches the way metal double points will. But they're not as sticky as bamboo. So, the bamboo stitches can be hard to slide the yarn on. These are wooden, but they have a really nice finish to them. So it's like a straight in-between needle, which I really like. But I also do love my metal Chai-Gus, but they're not double points. So I don't think I would use double points if they were metal. So that's what I'm working on right now. I was just about to start, but my dilemma, I was sitting here looking, I was trying to understand this pattern. Because if I hold up the body of the sweater, let me put this ball down, you'll see I'm going to join it here on the side, and you see that the stripes are different sizes, right? And there's nothing to do about it. What? Oh,
It's sharp
I
needle.
thought you were exclaiming that the stripes are so different. So the stripes are different sizes, and there's nothing to be done because it's a variegated yarn. But my question is, do I waste yarn to try to get back to this place in the variegation so that I start them in the same place again? Or do I just go with whatever's next on the needle? And I think I was just trying to figure it out because I think that the cuff starts basically like, it looks like it starts like here at this color change. So where I am now, I believe is more like maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out because there's a long blue section here. So I have to really study and decide what I want to do. If I want to, if I just want to, Hannah would probably say, just go with it, Mom, because I don't care. Because I think where this is like this, it's the only part that's green, which I think is right here. Mm-hmm. So I think it would just be a little bit off. But since it doesn't match exactly the body, I don't see any point in fussing with where the sleeve starts at this point. I can ask her. I'll send her pictures and she'll say, Mom, I don't care. Just do whatever's easiest. And I know that's what she'll say.
Why don't you do a little bit of the cuff and see what color it is and see if you like it?
Yeah, I could, says the person who likes to pull things out.
I don't like pulling things out.
You're just good at it.
I just have to do it a lot.
So that's my sleeve story. I finally finished one. Woo! And I wrote, this is my pattern worksheet paper, and I wrote, I don't know if you can see, I drew a sleeve on the back. Oh, it's not showing up. I drew a sleeve on the back with the different sections, and I just wrote the numbers so that I can reference it when I'm making the second sleeve. So there's that. I got in this book. Did I talk about this book? I had heard about this on Very Pink's podcast. It's called Wild and Woolly Knitted Animals. I think I showed pictures of it on my phone screen.
Yeah, you have.
And I put it.
Yeah.
I thought about ordering it a PDF so I could just put it right into my iPad, but I put this in my my husband's. The window, it looks like a snowstorm outside. Sorry, I just noticed that. It's very cold and windy today and cloudy. It's only noon. It doesn't look like noon outside. Anyway, distraction. Okay. I put this in my husband's Amazon shopping cart just because I wanted a sort of like a placeholder and think about whether I wanted to buy the digital copy or the real copy, and then all of a sudden I got a notification that your order shipped. I was like, oh. So he bought it for me. This is so cool though. So what this has, I think I talked about it last week, but it's neat to have it finally in my hand. It has like a naturalist's notebook, drawings. So here's look at that.
It's a prairie dog.
It's a prairie dog. So this author, Sarah Elizabeth Kellner is her name. It says a naturalist's notebook. So she would make these drawings. Look at this drawing, Eve.
I can't tell what it is.
Oh, it's prairie dog.
Oh yeah.
And then
Little face.
yeah, and just writing about things about the prairie dogs. And then let's see if I can get a good picture.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Let me get this out of the way.
Look at the knitted prairie dogs.
I like the one in the hole.
Oh, see down here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she places all her knitted animals in their
habitat.
In their habitats.
Like the ones on the back.
What? No. So here's a rainbow trout.
I keep
He's
poking
over here
myself.
stabbing herself.
Well, beading needles are sharp.
This is one of the reasons I bought the book, because it has a rainbow trout pattern.
Uh-huh.
And I was kind of wanting to do that. But look.
Oh my god.
Isn't that adorable? It's a little face and eyes and everything. I should make one of these and send it to Dave. But yeah, there's two. She puts them on a like on a rock with a river in the river. It's so cute. And there's turtles and bison and a chimpanzee and otter. Oh yeah, there's an otter. There's a pigeon. Look at that knitted otter.
Wow.
Really beautiful. So cute. So I thought this will be dreams of things to make, and maybe I'll actually, there's a badger. Oh, look at that duck.
Oh.
That is beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah. I like that. He sent it to Danny.
I really like her patterns. I think, you know, the Dot Pebbles knits that
Oh my God.
that I love.
Bunnies.
Oh, those are cute.
A turtle.
Dot Pebbles knits that I really like makes hers very realistic, like, and uses like all the different fuzzy yarns and stuff. But this seems a lot more maybe accessible to me, like just the yarn choices. Like she just used Cascade 220, which is a very common yarn, and it's not horribly expensive. Those turtles are so cute. Oh my gosh. Baby
turtles.
There's baby flatback or baby sea turtles. Because you could make the mama turtle and then she makes the babies. And there's I like the bison and
But mama turtles are not good mamas.
There's little eggs.
yeah, and raccoons and there's grizzly bears. Look at the grizzly bears. It's adorable.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
So, no, I am not taking orders. Okay. Anyway. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Look at this one with a little butt. It's a little bear butt. That's very cute. But so this will be a lot of fun, and it's frogs. Oh, look at the little brown rats. It's on a dumpster. You take a picture of the rat on on the edge of a dumpster. I need to send this to Hannah in Boston and say, here, put this somewhere in your
environment.
Well, okay,
Oh,
so
look at how fat he is.
I
That's
know.
so cute.
So it might be a secret, but there is an Instagram called Things Found in Practice Rooms, and it's run by my daughter. And she doesn't identify herself. Sorry, I outed you. But anyway, so she just takes pictures of random things that she finds in practice rooms. So I think it would be really funny to put one of these rats in there. Take a picture of it.
That's cute. The
Yeah,
bison.
there's a hedgehog.
Oh, cute. Oh my gosh.
Little curly hedgehog. Isn't that cute? So now everybody run out and buy this book. Wild and Woolly Knitted Animals.
Oh,
So
gosh.
that's fun. Anyway, so that's my new acquisition. And yeah, so I guess really much me. I've just been working on this sweater. I'm trying to get it done because it's getting cold in Boston and it's inspiring.
I just
'cause
looked up the temperature here. It's 60
I
degrees.
know.
Yeah.
That's cold for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
it's-
was like in the high 70s yesterday. So we were
Yeah.
like,
And last week 80s.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
It's just all of a sudden getting
So-
very cold.
Yeah. So that's me. That's pretty much all I've been working on. And that's it. Oh, and now we're going to tell stories?
Yeah. Did you have
So now is the portion of the program called Funny Stories from the Box Office. Now that the season is in full swing, I will probably have a lot more.
Well, I was say let me talk
Tell your story.
because your stories are probably much funnier than mine. So
Not necessarily.
you know, Eve was talking about how we had gone to the attic on Saturday, and I had been looking. You know, I think I don't know if I talked about it here. I might have, but I know I did on my channel about how I spent most of one day, basically reorganizing all my stuff because I was going through all my WIP-GO things and I was because I was looking for a specific thread and I knew it was in one of my WIP-GO things. But anyway, so I was going through it and I had realized between that and watching Just Keep Stitching that I was missing one of Cottage Garden Samplings. You know, they have the
Is that the one you thought
Year in the
fell
Woods.
behind the thing?
No, Year in the Woods series, and the new one had just come out called The Beaver with this little fat beaver butt and his little tail. The Beaver, that's the number 11.
Oh,
No,
cute.
yeah, number 11, I think, right? Yeah, number 11. So this one had just come out, and when I was looking through all my other Year in the Woods, I realized I was missing one, and this is the one I was missing, number 8, the Barn Owl. So that's really pretty.
I thought you showed that one already with the weird neck.
I don't know.
We talked about the weird
I
neck.
know we talked about it. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe I did show it. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think so because I thought we got
we
it.
talked about the weird neck, and Vicky even commented on the weird neck.
I thought
we
got
talked
these
about
this
the weird
Saturday.
neck.
What?
I think
I
you
thought we
have
got
2
this-
of those
These this Saturday.
because you
I think
talked
you have
about
2
the
of
weird
those.
neck. Maybe you showed a picture of it online or something.
I think I showed a picture of it.
I was talking about one of my. I follow
No, it was that one.
Because I just got
Stitchy
it.
and she was talking about the weird neck,
Yeah.
and so I mentioned it, but I don't know if I mentioned it in conjunction with her having it.
Yeah.
But
Because I think I just got it
No,
on
because
Saturday.
I have seen that photo before. I have seen that before.
I think you had it already.
No, I did not.
I've seen that before. So this is where I would.
I don't
She
think
might
I
have
have
a double, in which case she'll eventually give it away on her channel.
But then I bought this Roo Crew. Maybe I did show this to you because I talked about the little baby Joey.
That I
No?
don't remember
Okay,
seeing,
so,
but I
yeah.
have seen that owl before. So
I
I
don't know.
think you already have it.
But so this one, I saw this. You know, Plum Street Samplers has a whole series of these little stacks of animals, and I think I bought. There's one with hedgehogs. I think I bought, and I think I bought the either sloths or llamas. But this is kangaroos. This is called Roo Crew. So there's two big kangaroos on top of each other, and the upper one has a baby Joey in her pocket, in her pouch. So I bought those on Saturday along with several threads and another pattern. But then the other day, yesterday, we were getting the mail, and I had forgotten. Yesterday was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday that we went to.
We went to Joanne's yesterday.
To
yes.
Joanne's, and no, Monday. It was Monday. It was Monday.
Anyway, you went to Joanne's
Anyway,
at some
It's
point this
yesterday.
week.
It's yesterday.
Oh yeah. Yes, because Monday we went to Hobby Lobby and Tuesday we went
Oh
to
my
Joanne's.
gosh.
Yesterday we went to Joanne's. Yeah.
No, yesterday was Wednesday.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Anyway.
To the story.
But so we had gone to Joanne's, and because I wanted one skein of DMC thread that they didn't have at Hobby Lobby, so we went to Joanne's. I got that thread, and I saw something else that I wanted, and then I saw something else that I wanted, and so I ended up spending a little more than because I had just gone for the skein of thread, but so I think I had spent a lot of money, and then so on the way home we stopped to check the mail, and we had a whole bunch of mail because I think we had not checked it like on Tuesday or something. So it was a stack of.
I told
This
her
is-
to start checking it.
This
and
is
she hasn't been.
this is the political season where everybody's sending you vote for this person, vote for that person, blah blah. And so there's like a whole stack of these like political advertisement things. But so I was going through all that stuff, and I got a card. It's really pretty. This is a thank you card with little cardinals, the bird feeder there. And when I saw the envelope, I thought I recognized the name. And I don't want to say the name out loud because I don't have her permission to say it. But her last name, the person who sent this to me, her last name is the same last name as a former colleague of mine from the symphony. And so every time I see her last name, I think of my colleague Dick. And and so I always think to myself, is this from him? No, I don't, because the first name is a woman's name, and I thought, I never knew his wife, so I'm always like, I have a split second of like, who is this from? But she she wrote her Facebook and Instagram handles in there, and that I recognize very easily. But so some time ago, I did a giveaway on my channel of a couple of old patterns I had, peach iris and blue iris, are really, really pretty. Mm-hmm. But so she had written to me that that she it was a thank you for those charts, and she was saying that you know, they're one of her favorite flowers, but not the leaves, because her grandfather used to you know, like spank her with the leaves.
That's funny.
But so yes, so thank you. She didn't have to send this to me, but thank you very much.
That's neat,
Charlotte. And then this was also in that pile of mail, and this is a card from my aunt, who had told me, you know, we had talked on the phone. She had talked to Eve, and about, you know, like what to give me, and you know, and Eve had suggested a gift card to Joann's or Hobby Lobby or whatever, and so she had decided to give me a gift card to Joann's, which I had forgotten about. And I had just spent a bunch of money at Joann's, and then I came home and got the card to Joann's.
Now you gotta go back.
So now I have to go back. I have to go back and buy something. So it was very nice. She sent me my aunt sent me a very lovely card with the.
That's nice.
Yeah, the gift card to it. So
I think you better check, because I think you already have that out. Okay.
I kind of don't think it, because I have all of the college garter samplings.
Maybe
in one place.
You showed it to me on your phone.
I think I might have, because I know I showed you the December one, and that was where I saw I had gone to look it up to see which one I was missing.
I don't know, but I've seen that.
I don't know.
Before.
I think you have it.
Anyway,
I don't.
It's a challenge. Okay. When you find it next week, we'll update you. Look at my sleeve. Ta-da! I measured it against the sleeve of my. That's what I was doing with my hoodie. The sleeve of my hoodie, because I'm like. Because I asked her, measure your arm. And she's like, I lost my measuring tape. I'm like, maybe it's in your knitting bag. But anyway. So she's like, just make it the same length as... I'm like, of what? And I'm like, I'm measuring my arm, but I don't know if your arm is the same as my arm. But I just measured my hoodie, which is, I think, a large size. So she's like, just make it long. Extra long. I'm like, no. Okay. Tales from the Box Office. Subtitle, Reasons People Want Refunds. This guy wanted a refund because he changed his mind because he read about, I think maybe we sent out a thing saying there's construction downtown, make sure you give yourself some extra time. And he's like, I decided I'd change my mind. And so I want a refund of my tickets. We're like, I'm sorry. And then another guy calls me and he's like, I need to turn back I bought 2 seats in my subscription, and I need to turn back one of those seats for all the concerts. Because, well, I bought them for my girlfriend and we broke up. We're like,
it's actually very sad.
like, sorry. Like, that's not we can't do that.
It's not a valid reason for a refund.
But I was like, but you can't exchange them into other concerts. And he's like, okay.
Or, yeah, you don't give up. You might find another girlfriend.
Exactly. Ask someone else out. Anyway. No. I had a very sad call because one of the things we're doing is calling people who have had choose your own subscriptions in the past, and they haven't renewed yet. So we're just calling to say, hey, you have any questions? Kind of call, yeah. So I got one guy, and he's like, well, yeah, my wife just died, and I don't know where my stuff is. I don't know what's happening. And then we got I know, it was awful. And he's like, I got my opera stuff set, but I haven't thought about the symphony. And he's like, I wrote down some concerts, and he was reading me concerts, and I'm like, those aren't our concerts. and they were concerts from last season. So I think he was looking at an old brochure, but he's like, I don't know where my fun stuff is. This is all just sad stuff in this mail pile or whatever. And I was like, I'll send you a new brochure. We talked for a long time, and he was telling me how, well, one of the things I learned, my dogs shed really bad, and I learned the hard way to use the dry Swiffer before you use the wet Swiffer. And I was like, I'm crying. It's like, because one thing I'm really struggling with is housework. I think he just needed someone to talk to.
Yeah.
I saw this TikTok guy, and he's a paramedic, and he said that there are some people that call an ambulance just because they're lonely and they need to talk to a human.
Yeah.
And I thought,
yeah, I know, and that's like a lot of times. Well, early in the season, we were calling a different type of subscriber, and I got a woman, and she's like, I do want to renew. I'm planning on it, but my husband died 2 days ago, and she started crying on the phone, and she's like, and he was a big supporter, and I want to support the symphony, and I want to give the same donation he always gave, but I can't right now because I'm planning his funeral. And I was like, I'll call you back. Oh my gosh, those aren't funny tales from the box office, but it is real life in the box office. And I always try to remember when people are rude, like, what are they going through?
Yeah.
What have they gone through? Like, don't call me anymore. Maybe their wife loved the symphony and they don't want to hear from us,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a heartbreaking and heartwarming tale. I have a nail polish story. Okay, so last weekend was, I think I talked about, was Hocus Pocus, right?
Right.
And so everyone was dressing up. So I was gonna dress up. Here's a picture of me in front of the step and repeat in my gnome costume. The same gnome costume I wore last year on this channel. Anyway, it's tried and true. Everybody loved it. People flipped out. And the little kids wanted to come up to the box office because I was sitting there with my big old hat. And they're like, the one mom's like, she wanted to come see the elf. And I was like, I am not an elf. I identify as a gnome. So, but I didn't say that. But anyway, they probably couldn't even tell because I had a beard. They couldn't tell who I was. But I put my name tag right here in my hat. But, so anyway, with all that, I had the same nails I think I had from Dad's memorial. They lasted a long time for me. But they had just started to chip off, and I was like, I need to change my nails. And Rachel had talked to me about, she was trying to decide what Halloween nails she was going to put on. I was like, oh, I should do that I should change my nails for the concert. And she's like, well, come over and choose some if you can. And I was like, okay. But then the day I had to do it, I totally spaced it out. And I also spaced out the fact that my nails were peeling off and looking gross. And on that Friday, I didn't work until 1, but I went in the morning to Eli's apartment. Oh, because we moved him last weekend. So I went in the morning to his apartment and was working all morning with him. And then we were like, well, okay, let's go downtown by your office and by our offices, because now we work across the street from each other, which is very nice. And I said, let's go have lunch. So, and we had a good amount of time. And either at his apartment or while we were at lunch, I looked at my nails and I was like, no, it was at his apartment. I'm like, oh, I forgot to do these and I have a concert. I'm going to be dressed up. I don't want ugly nails, right? So I was like, okay, well, Fry's is right there. We have a brand new Fry's downtown. It's beautiful. It is so beautiful. Anyway.
Doesn't it have living quarters above it?
It is an apartment. Yeah, it's connected to the apartment complex above it, and I haven't explored the whole tower, but
it's huge.
And there's a parking garage there, but it's so nice to have a grocery store downtown. I can't even tell you, because when I worked there last time, there was nothing around.
But the building of that building destroyed the roads all around it.
Yeah.
You drive on those roads like this.
Yeah, but now it's all done.
Somebody
now
was
they're
in
doing
my
something
car
else.
went, can't Phoenix afford to fix its roads? And I'm like, Construction.
Yeah. Now that's all fixed. They're doing something else.
Yeah.
Now they're doing the light rail. So that's all big giant mess down there. But anyway, but it is not a reason for you to refund your shipping tax. Okay. Like last time I worked there in like the 15s, whenever it was, 15, 16, one guy called and said he was going to buy tickets. And I said, okay, it's March Madness weekend, which there's the basketball stadium is right there. And I said, it's March Madness weekend, so give yourself plenty of time to find parking and blah, blah, blah. And I said, a lot of people are choosing the light rail. And he said, well, will I be able to get a refund if I can't find a parking place? And I'm like,
No.
and he's like, well, that like he thought that was unreasonable. And I said, sir, our obligation is to provide a quality musical performance. We have no control over traffic and parking. And I was at that concert that night that I knew that he was buying for. I was there, and I remember distinctly thinking about that man and looking around the full theater and thinking, or concert hall, and I'm like, look at all these grown-ups who figured it out. anyway, so I was like, okay, there's a Fry's right there. I said, yeah, let's go down now. We'll park my car, we'll walk to Fry's, and I'll get nail polish remover. How hard is that? And I'll just, I'll bring it home with me. And then we'll go have lunch. So we went to Fry's, and I'm like, I just need the smallest bottle because I have really good nail polish remover at home, right? I don't need a whatever, spend $1 million. So I got a little pack of cotton balls, and there was a little bottle. It just said nail polish remover, and it said regular. So I thought that would mean that it was like, because you can get those acetone free or whatever that aren't as smelly or whatever. So since it said regular, I assumed that it would just be like straight hardcore acetone, right? No, it was not. It was the worst nail polish remover experience of my life. I kid you not. First of all, that color street pattern I had, which was called Rule of Plum, which is my favorite, and it's retired. And Rachel had given me, I think, one of her last 2 patterns of it. So that's what I wore for Dad's memorial, because it is my favorite. It's beautiful. It's purpley plum, and it's got like a gold, like metallic flower pattern on some of the fingers, and the other fingers are it's like an ombre with sparkle in it. So it's a metallic, and I don't know if it's because it's an older pattern or older product, but it lasts longer than I think the newer ones do. I don't know if they changed. I don't know, but it lasts forever. But anyway, so it's pretty thick, because some of them are very thin.
Yeah.
But this one is very thick.
Especially the teeny bopper colors, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Just like a
They're
just
real
a
thin.
lemon yellow or a fluorescent pink.
Those older ones are seem thicker. I don't know. It's my imagination, but so it is. I from experience of wearing that a lot, it is hard to take off. You have to really let it sit there and everything. So we eat lunch, and then because we're in Potbelly, and I don't want to take this out because I'm thinking it's going to stink to high heaven, right? So there's tables outside. So we just tuck ourselves in a little corner of those tables after we eat. And he's just hanging out with me. And let's see, he had to be at work. He had to meet his job coach at 12:45. And he just, basically we were sitting underneath his building. And I worked, kitty corner. So this was noon. I sat down. I'm like, okay, let's do this real quick. So he's like, I'll sit with you. And it took me the better part of 50 minutes. I thought I was going to be late to work. It took me 50 minutes, almost an hour, to take nail polish off. And so first of all, it didn't smell. It had like a, it must have had a perfume in it. But you know how even perfumey nail polish removers, you can still smell the acetone? I could not smell it. So even so much that I looked at the ingredients, and the first ingredient was acetone, but it didn't smell like acetone. And I soaked the cotton ball, and I'd hold it on there for a long time, and then I'd pull it off, and it would not be gone at all. And so I'm there and I'm holding it, and then I would pull it off, and the plum color was gone, but the metallic was still there.
Yeah.
So I'm holding. But basically, unless I actually physically rubbed like this and rubbed it, it would not come off. And then, but what it did was it just melted it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was going like this. It was all on my fingers. It was, and my fingers were sticky, and that it basically just turned it into a gum.
That's the same nail polish remover I use all the time.
Really?
This is one of the cheapest ones there at Fry's.
Yeah.
And I hate it, and it makes my hands sticky. But those things that Rachel gave us, those little pink
little clamps.
Mm-hmm. If you use that, it will stay. Because you can sit it on there for longer.
Yeah.
And it has that pressure on it, so then it comes off a little bit better. But I have to go wash my hands afterward because I am sticky.
Yeah, no. So I have those clamps, but they were all at home.
Yeah.
But so I bought, the last time I was at Fry's, I bought the little bottle with the top where you open the top and you go boop, 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 boop. And it comes up the little hole.
Yeah, I tried to do that.
That
one,
one
I couldn't find it.
Is great, and it takes everything off fast, and it tears up your, it makes your skin all white, and but it works. This stuff, I was so angry, and finally Eli's like, I gotta go to work. I'm like, go. And I'm sitting there going, I hope I don't have to text my boss that I am across the street half unpolished at 1:00. I mean, it took me a whole hour, and I'm like, so yeah, I walked straight into the bathroom and had to wash my hands. But it would have been faster if I just plucked it off with my fingernails. Yeah. I was so mad. So I'm like, fine, I'm just going bare nailed. I'd rather go, I wanted to have bare nails rather than...
And you have to use half a bottle because it doesn't work.
You know what happened? So finally I finished drinking my Coke, and because I was just piling the cotton, because I used 1 million cotton balls. So I was piling cotton balls there. So finally when I finished my Coke, I started dumping the cotton balls in the Coke cup. So you know what I did? I got up to go to work, put that nail polish remover in the Coke cup, and threw it away. I'm like, I will never again. I was so mad. And I still had it like in the sides, I still had to pluck it out. But, and I guess, to be fair, it did not, like, how regular acetone tears up your skin. Like, it turns it all white, and, and I feel completely, like, dried out, and like it's just horrible. I imagine it's very bad for you, but it works. But so to be fair, that nail polish was very kind to my skin. I mean, remover.
Yeah.
But I was like, ah, that's what I get for forgetting. But it was awful.
I thought you were going to say you used your Diet Coke to...
So my son, when he was younger, he was on swim teams. Your parking stories reminded me of this. Oh. So there was a swim meet that was at a private school in the center of the city, but it was always held the weekend of a marathon that is run in the same area. And they tell you, give yourself plenty of time, and they tell you, look up the route of the marathon so that you don't try to go on those roads because you can't, right? But it's like the school was here and the marathon's here, right? And you can't get there from here, basically.
Yeah.
And I remember once, and it starts very, very early in the morning, the swim meets do, and then you have to be there way before that because you don't want to be one of the last people showing up because you can't park.
Yeah.
And you're dragging all the paraphernalia with you, and the I remember one morning it was pitch black. It was so early in the morning the sun hadn't even begun to come up. And we're driving. Thank God for Einstein, because they open early enough that you can stop on the way. Because I would always, every long swim meet like that, I'd buy one of those Baker's Dozen boxes of bagels, because the carbs are very good for him when he's, expending that much energy. And and every time I kept trying to go toward the school, that road was blocked off. I'd tried to find another way. No, that road, it took me forever to get there. I got there when it was light, finally. But also parking at the university. I had to park in a parking garage that was across a little street from the university's pool, where he would go swim once a week. And there were people that were constantly complaining that they couldn't park anywhere without paying. Pay.
Yeah.
I understand that it's money that you don't want to pay. Just pay.
Yeah.
The reason they put those parking things up is so there's adequate and safe parking.
It'd be different if you had to go every single day. But
Well, no, because then you get a parking
Right,
pass or
exactly.
something. Pay.
Yeah.
If it's a downtown area where parking is at a premium, you're either going to pay at a pay thing meter, in which case you better only need to be there 20 minutes, because you got 20 minutes walking to where we were going.
Well, nowadays they have the app, the
where you
Yeah.
they've
parking meters
updated
with
it.
an app.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
love it.
I've used where you can go, the little kiosk things where you can go put your card in, and then as long as you're there it counts, and but if you're in a downtown area where parking is an issue, you're not going to find free parking. If there is some place where there's nobody parking, it's probably a tow-away zone. And so just pay. Pay.
When I lived in the whole time I lived in Little Rock, I lived downtown, and
Come here.
it was nice
Come
because
here.
I was like just a mile
start
or so, 2 miles from the symphony hall, where we very often rehearsed and of course performed there. But also in the last several years that I lived there, I worked at Blue Cross, and it was like a mile. I could ride my bike. In fact, one year, most of the year, I rode my bike 2 or 3 days a week to the office. But anyway, but the other trouble with being downtown is that they started doing a few years after I had lived there, they started doing the Little Rock Marathon, or maybe they were always doing it, but at first it was by the Capitol building, which is a few miles away, and the route of the marathon was kind of away from me. It was a little bit of an inconvenience for a couple of streets, but for the most part it was not an issue. But then they developed an area called the River Market, and there were all kinds of shops and things like that. And so the River Market became sort of the place to be, and so they shifted the start-finish line of the marathon to that area. When they're sorry about the noise, there's
We used to do a yard work next door.
So because they shifted the start-finish line, they shifted the route of the marathon, and so the marathon came right past my apartment building on one side in the front, and then down some of the side streets, but then like various streets around my apartment building, and there was, I think, one year, the first year they did it, or maybe the second year that it was in that area, there was I was trying to go to church in the morning, and there were cops posted here and there to let people by, but so the first year I went there was a cop there, and so he when there was a gap in the running the runners, he would let cars go by, whatever, and if you went if you go down here, go down this road or whatever, you could cross where the route is or below the route or something like that. But one year that I went, there was no cops there. They just had the yellow tape across there, and so you couldn't get through there. And going down here, there was a whole row of cars there waiting, and nobody would let them through, whatever. So I had to just on marathon on Sundays, I would just have to stay home and not go to church because I think I called the organization for that did the marathon, and or maybe I emailed them or something, and they're like, well, some people leave their homes at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, yeah, no, I ain't doing that. And then they said, well, you can just stay home and support our runners. And I'm like,
God forbid it was work.
Yeah, really.
So the football stadium area in Phoenix by the university, every time that there is a game, they block off traffic to some streets because there's a lot of pedestrian traffic trying to get to the stadium, but the traffic all around there is absolutely ridiculous. And when I was driving Uber, I couldn't get to some people to pick them up, and they weren't at the football game. They were wanting to go to the airport, and they were very angry with me for being late to pick them up. And they said, we saw you right there. Why did it take you so long to get here? And I'm like, you're going to find out. And so I pulled back out onto that road, and they're like, oh, are we going to make our flight? I said, nope.
Sorry, I think we're going to have to pause because that's
it's very loud. Yeah.
Quick, let's record before they start the next machine up.
So people do not want to account for traffic, and I told them, you got a hotel room across the street from a school, and you didn't. From a college, and you didn't look to see if there was going to be anything going on before you decided when you were leaving for the airport.
Yeah.
If President Trump had not been in Phoenix that day blocking everything airport wise, they would have missed their flight.
Wow.
Their flight got delayed because of that. We have a lot of nowadays when there is any kind of political thing going on, we got all the bigwigs deciding to come to Phoenix because apparently we're a battleground state. It's like, can you just keep your battle somewhere else and
or at least not cause traffic problems. So Saturday when I was going to Hocus Pocus Saturday night, I left with what I thought was plenty of time, and I did not believe the Goo, as my brother calls it. I didn't believe Google Maps. Sorry. More equipment. But at least he's not right by the window like it was a second ago.
It was, they were trimming
really
bushes right by the window.
So, I didn't believe Google Maps, and it told me, so there's two ways I can go to downtown. I can go on I-17 and go up 7th Street, or I can stay on I-10 and go around to Washington Jefferson exit and go on Washington Street like that. So, but I like to go up 7th. I don't know why. I just always do. And so it was telling me to take the other way, and I was like, because usually it'll say
you didn't learn
similar
from that
ETA.
trip from you didn't learn then?
No, but it didn't tell me. Okay, usually it'll say similar ETA, and I thought it gave me that option. But when I turned up 7th Street, it's telling me to turn again on Lincoln or something, which is below downtown, because 7th Street was closed because it was the weekend. And I had already so every single weekend right now, they close part of the freeway, either going into town or coming out of town. And this time it was coming out. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be great. I'm going to go into town on the freeway. And so I had avoided that. But then I turned up and 7th Street was closed for the weekend. And I'm like, oh, fine. So I took the left on Lincoln. And where I park is like 2nd Street, I guess. It's where the hall is. And so I knew the 2nd Street doesn't go through because there's a giant basketball stadium in the way. Okay, and so it's telling me to go on a particular street. I don't even remember now what it was, but I was like, I know better, and I turned up 1st Street, or I don't know what. I turned up and no, I can't get through there. So then I had to turn left again, and then I was like, okay, 1st goes right by. It was telling me to go on 1st Street, which goes right by my office, and then go around to the parking garage, and then the hall's there, right? So to go up to Adams. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I'm driving up 1st Street, and I cross Jefferson. I mean, I'm on Jefferson, and I cross Washington, and I go up, and the road's closed because all of Adams was closed from the convention center where the hall is all the way down to I don't know where, because they were having like a Dios de los Muertos thing on Adams.
They closed downtown for all kinds of parties.
But Google didn't know that. So I was like, oh, okay. So I turned around and I had to get back on Washington, and I'm driving literally the wrong direction, further away from the hall. And I'm like, and I knew Adams was blocked, so I'm like, I'm going to have to go past the blockage on Adams and past Adams up to Van Buren, I guess, and come back around down to get to the parking garage. And so I called my manager, and I was like, I'm here, but I'm not here. I'm here, but I'm not there yet. So hopefully I will be there before we open. And I was fine. It was fine, but it was just kind of funny. It's like going around and gotta go around, and I can't go that way, and I turn around, and oh, it's awful.
Well, I guess I said I used to work, downtown and everything, and when I first started working at Blue Cross, you had to pay for parking, of course, and especially since I was a long-term temp, I wasn't a real employee, so I did not have like a parking pass or anything for downtown. So there were basically there were the lots that you parked in. If you were a Blue Cross employee, you could get a parking pass and park. I don't remember. I don't know if it cost money or whatever. I think they deducted it from your paycheck or something like that to park in the paid parking lots belonging to Blue Cross. But then there was a paid lot, kind of kitty corner to the Blue Cross building, and part of it was like a monthly subscription kind of parking, and the other part was day parking where you just paid per hour for to park there, like if you had business in one of those buildings. And then kitty corner from that was a small lot belonging to, it had like an Enterprise rent-a-car on the bottom, and on the top upper floor there were like maybe a dozen spaces up there, and that was relatively cheap because it was far and you had to climb the stairs to get up there and just all kinds of stuff. So that was the parking that I bought originally. I bought a space there in that building, but the problem was that the building basically closed at 6, so you had to be over there and get your car, but also you had to account for the time it took to walk from parking your car, the 2 blocks back to the building to work. And so whenever I was running late, I would park in that day lot, kitty corner from my thing. So here I was paying for a monthly spot there, and then paying to
it's gonna be on time.
Yeah. So yeah, not a possibility.
On time.
So I ended up. So I finally, like the last couple years that I worked there, I just bit the bullet and paid for the more expensive, closer parking lot. Closer
I'm sorry,
parking.
but those people were awful, keeping you a temp
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah,
Because not giving you any benefits or anything.
I talked to my boss a couple of times, and she was like trying to talk to the management, I guess, about, you know, because they liked what I was doing, and they liked the fact that they had me, because I was basically like an assistant to, I don't know, 4 different bosses, whatever. And anybody who worked there could come up to me and say, Beth, could you run this report for me? Beth, could you file this for me? Could you, you know, and then give me an assignment to do whatever, you know.
But
so
you
I had
allowed
like,
it.
yeah, because, you know, it was, but anyway, it was, you know, so I had like, you know, 30 bosses or whatever. But anyway, so one back when I was doing the sort of, when I had the monthly parking in the smaller lot, there was a day when a friend of mine had passed away, and his funeral was that day. So in the morning, I parked in that little day lot, you know, to go into work, and then I went to his funeral, and I came back, and so I had a, you know, one of those spots in the day lot. And there was like a little the payment booth for the hourly parking was in the middle of the parking lot, and then beside it, you know, there were spaces right beside it, you know, going out. And so whoever the person who had parked closest to the booth had parked a little ways from it, had kind of inched over to the left to, you know, to, I guess, to give their passenger more room to get out or whatever. So he was like he was in the lines, but almost on the line. So in order to park next to him, to not hit him and allow him to get into his car, I had to park a little to the left. And so I was there getting my stuff together, and I started to open the door to get out, and this big, huge truck was pulling into the space next to me. So I closed the door so that, you know, he wouldn't hit the door or hit me or whatever. So I got back, you know, I pulled my leg back in and closed the door a little bit, and he parked this big monster truck, you know, next to me.
And you couldn't get out?
And yeah, he was close to me, so I couldn't open my door. And he was, you know, in the driver's seat, of course, and his wife was behind him. It was a double cab pickup, this huge pickup. And it was like, you know, the wheels, the tires were right up here, you know. And so his wife and the baby were in the back seat, you know. And so I was waiting, because I thought, you know, he had just pulled in, so I thought he would back up and straighten out, you know, and fix himself. But he started to get out of the truck. And so I opened the door and I said, I can't get out of my car. You know, as he was standing out there, and he goes, well, I'm within the lines. I'm inside the lines. And I'm like, I cannot get out of my car. And I couldn't even have gone like across the seats and gotten out the passenger side.
Yeah. Because
I was pretty close to the other car. And so I was like, you know, and so he was like, trying to argue with me. Well, I'm within the lines. I'm within the side. And his wife was standing right there. And I think that if his wife hadn't been there to give him, you know,
the evil eye,
he would have just walked away and said, so sad, too bad, I'm in the lines. So he kind of was mad and got back in his truck, and they moved to a different parking space. And I was like, you know, what am I supposed to do? I can't just sit here. I have to get out of my car.
Couldn't you have just gone to park somewhere else?
Well, maybe, but I was already there. I was already getting,
I know,
you know.
But I mean, if he had just gone
away.
Well, if he had gone and walked away, I probably would have. But, you know, even so,
I was just like that was the only space.
But no, but it was just like, you know.
It was close to
But, you know, you know, you don't just go and park, you know, and trap the other, because like how many times have you come out of the store and you go to get in your car and the car next to you is parked like this, and you're just like, you know, you can't get in.
I'm not going to complain about other people's parking.
But you know, so it was just, you know, a pain in the neck.
What was I gonna say? That happened to me once in the opposite way. When you were in the hospital, St. Joe's, that front, not the rehab parking on the other side of it, but that
parking was horrible.
That front parking garage, because I guess they wanted to cram as many cars in as possible. all of the spaces on all of the floors
We're very, very tight.
very tight. And I was in my Kia, which is big at the time, so it was very hard to park my car there. And I came out once and I could not get in.
Mm-hmm.
The car was over, and I'm like, so I think I had to go in the passenger door
Yeah.
and get in that way.
I've done that where, like, yeah, I open the passenger door and, like, have to stick my feet in because they have to go under the steering wheel. And I'm, the parking brake is stabbing me in the butt, and I'm trying to, climb over the,
Yeah, but, don't get in fights over parking spaces.
No.
People shoot each other over stupid parking spaces. It's annoying,
Yeah.
but
No, how could I fight? There was nobody there to fight.
no. I mean, I think I told you about walking into Fry's and seeing two women come to blows right in front of Fry's.
Mm-hmm.
One of them parked in the space like right by the door, and a woman came from somewhere else, and she starts yelling at her and pointing at the parking space. So I knew they were arguing about parking, and I'm getting out of my car going, should I walk past these lunatics? And then they come to blows over a parking space. They're pulling each other's hair and whacking each other, and then they both just kind of stop and straighten their clothes out. And the entire time they were in the store, they're giving each other the evil eye. But I hear about people being shot over arguments over parking spaces all the time.
Yeah.
And it's very annoying when somebody does something like this guy letting her out, or you have your blinker on, you're ready to get in the space, just like in fried green tomatoes, where that other car goes in and sweeps in before them, before her. And
yeah, if that guy's wife hadn't been with him, you probably shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like, like I said, I was already in my space, and he had the whole, he had other places to park, but so he just, was trying to squeeze his truck in there, and it's like,
if your truck doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, and so it was just kind of like.
On the other hand,
I was there first,
you could have just moved.
If he hadn't wanted to move, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he expected you to just move.
Yeah. He just expected me to deal with it because, he was within the lines.
Well.
It's like, well, so am I. So I'm within the lines too, but I still can't get out of my car.
When I was living on 48th Street, there was a truck, and I complained about him several times to the management because even though he was in his space, his truck was so big that I could not get past his mirrors I could get out of my car because there was a pole that prevented him from parking that close, right? Mm-hmm. I could get out of my car, but I couldn't walk past his mirror because he always backed in. Mm-hmm. And you're not supposed to back in.
Yeah.
And if he had, why he backed in?
Because he couldn't fit.
Because the mirrors would have hit the pole. And so
I'm trapped between the mirrors and the pole.
I'm trapped between the mirrors and the pole.
Oh my gosh.
And I would have to try to duck down to go and so I had to complain about it. I'm like, he's not supposed to park backwards. And I can't get, the mirrors stuck out a good, distance. It was a huge truck. And, I hated complaining about something so petty, but I don't have the option of getting out on the other side of my car.
Right.
And I could have walked to the front and gone down an embankment and tried to walk over that embankment. I pulled up to a parking curb, and almost immediately past that parking curb was an embankment that went almost straight down. And there was a basketball court down there.
Oh, yeah.
And there was steps somewhere down there that you could go back up and, to get up and down to the basketball court. but what am I supposed to do? Go down there, find the stairs, walk back up, and come around? And, why? When he can just park the correct direction, and if your mirrors don't fit, fold them, and then, but maybe he couldn't fold them. They look like maybe those stiff arm ones. I don't know. But if your truck doesn't fit, go park somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, the time I come, and it was daytime, and I know it was like 150 degrees outside, and some guy was installing carpets in the apartments, and he had his truck with the trailer parked along several parking spaces under the awning. And I come up and I'm like, okay, this is not okay. And he wasn't anywhere around. He was in, working.
Yeah.
And so I drove back up to the office and I said, why is there a work truck parked in my parking space? Over several parking spaces. And I hated to get him in trouble. He didn't want it out in the sun because
he was under the awning. He wasn't just behind this. Oh.
Yeah. All the spaces under the awning, he was in all of them.
Oh, I see. I thought he was just like in the parking lot. Oh my gosh.
No. And another time I come out, I come to park and there's a car in my parking spot. And I just went and parked somewhere else, and I didn't want to be mean because I thought, might be somebody who lives there, maybe a guest of theirs or whatever. And I just kept, anybody I saw, do you know whose car that is? I don't want to have it towed. And it was some person who was visiting somebody else, and they just took a spot. I'm like, you can't do that. When they have numbers on them, the numbers are there for a reason.
We spent so many years in apartments, and then we were in a condo there with a assigned spot like that. And that was one of the biggest moments of freedom in my mind when we bought our house. Was like, I have a driveway and I have a garage and it is mine and no one else will park there.
Well, yeah, when
and I don't have to walk 50 miles to my apartment.
My second apartment there in Little Rock had assigned parking spaces.
Yeah.
And it was, it was part of your rent, that you have an assigned parking space so you don't have to park on the street. You can you get one assigned parking space, and if you have more than one car, then your second car has to go on the street. Because all the spaces in the parking lot were assigned to one of the apartments. But people got in the habit of, like, if there was an empty apartment, of like they would figure out, oh, this space isn't nobody's using this space, so I can park there. And then on the weekends, or especially, somebody would have their boyfriend or their girlfriend visiting for the weekend, and so you'd come home and there's somebody in your parking space. And then if you park somewhere else, then that person comes home and there's somebody in their parking space. So they park somewhere else, and that person, and so it's like a domino effect. And the problem with that downtown is, like, at one point, especially, people who were parked in the streets, there was somebody going around breaking into cars, And so, in the parking lot, it was a little safer because it was well lit and you were right by the building. And so if you were to break into a car and the alarm would go off or something, somebody could look out the window and see you, So they tended to avoid the parking lot, but the street was kind of fair game a little bit. And so those parking spaces in the parking lot, those paid spaces were kind of important, And every once in a while, you'd have some knucklehead park in.
Even if they aren't important, it's your spot.
Yeah, and I remember one time I came, and this guy whom I knew was parked in my space, and I think I went and knocked on his door, and I said, your car is in my space. Well, somebody was in my space. I'm like, that's not my problem. That's your problem. You have to, And the trouble was, like, there was a sign on the wall that about, like, that you could call a tow company and they could come and and tow away a car that was
But meanwhile,
unauthorized.
you have to park somewhere else.
Well, and not only that, but that number was actually the office number for the apartments. We didn't have an on-site manager, and so you would but they didn't have anybody there 24 hours a day. So if you
Right.
came home at night and there was somebody parking your parking space, if you called that number,
You get an answering machine.
yeah, you get an answer machine or answering service. So it didn't connect directly to a tow company, and it didn't connect to anybody that would immediately do something. So like theoretically, they would call, if you left a message, they would call the tow company in the morning, and the tow company would come. But in the morning, a lot of times that
It'd be your
offended
car.
car was gone. Yeah, it was like
So at 48th Street, when you sign your lease, you were given a card for the towing company. And they said, if you come home and there's somebody in your spot, just call. You don't need to call us, just call. And so I thought I was doing something nice, going around, trying to find who it was. And they're like, well, we won't be there long. And I'm like,
No.
yeah,
That's not the point.
here's the problem. I'm not parked in my spot and I want to be. So you need to move. If you don't move by a certain time, I'll call a tow company, and you have enough time for me to walk to my car and come and park. If you're still there, I will call the tow company. And the only other time after that I had somebody park in my spot was when they were paving. People would just go park in a different spot because they were paving their area. It's like they tell you to go park on
In
the street.
Right.
Or, you can't just go and they had a lot of spaces that were not assigned spots. There were plenty of non-assigned spots.
Yeah.
Kelly had to park in them. Kelly? Why do I keep calling Robert Kelly? Robert had to park in them a lot. And I'm like, no. and so they had a tow truck there that was just towing cars and putting them in. They weren't taking them away. They were putting them in a non-assigned spot, right?
Well, that's lucky.
I think they should have just towed them away because they were warned a week ahead of time.
Wow.
They were warned the day before with a notice on your door. Do not park there. Why do they get to not have to go pay for towing when they park in somebody else's spot? Yeah.
When I first moved here, the apartment building I was in, you had like I think if you paid extra, you had a spot under the awning. But otherwise, if until you did that, you had to park, like in
Uncovered.
uncovered, non-assigned parking. And I think I did that a couple of times. But the kicker for me was parking like, I came home and like all the spaces were taken or whatever.
Yeah, all the free spaces.
All the free spaces were taken. And I ended up parking like way away and walking in the dark to my apartment. And I was like, okay, I ain't doing that. And so I paid, extra for the covered space because there was one that was relatively close to my apartment because my apartment was just in a little ways from
I can't
the,
believe it
from
wasn't
the
included
parking
in
lot.
your rent. I didn't know that.
No,
Yeah,
you
mine
had
was
to pay
included
extra.
in my rent.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. The only thing that you got was, and I don't guess you were really guaranteed a spot on the parking lot because if you came and all the free spaces were taken, you would have to park on the street, I guess.
So is that too bad?
Yeah. And it was like, it was pretty ruthless.
That was the first apartment. That was the apartment you had when you got here?
Yeah, when I first moved in.
That
moved
apartment, they had a gate, but that gate was open up until a certain time, and then you had to, I'm like, what's the point of the gate? All you had to do, if you had nefarious plans, was just go in before that and just hang out,
Or if you were a cockroach.
That was like our
Remember that? Do you remember that?
oh, that woman that was screaming. Yeah.
We thought somebody was
We were-
dying. We were moving in.
Yeah, it was when I was moving in. We were, because the movers were there and they were, moving my things in. And then while we were there, all of a sudden this woman was screaming. screaming. We thought, is she being assaulted? Is she, And so
the guys were like very protective.
Yeah,
of us.
the mover
They're
guys were like, y'all stay here.
Stay here. We'll go look and we couldn't figure it out. And this woman was screaming bloody murder.
And so I think somebody called the police.
I did.
Right? Oh yeah.
I called the police, and he's like, don't let him see you if you know that you're calling or whatever. And so the police came. And it turned out that I guess she was on her porch and found a cockroach flew at her or something. And that's why she was screaming. I'm like, that would have been Eve.
It would have been. And has been.
It was so funny. Oh my gosh.
Well, we should go because Beth
has
an appointment.
And
So,
look, I started the sleeve. So here's this is the double point needles I was talking about. You cast on one needle and you divide it up, and then you use the fourth needle to stitch around and around. So I'll do this until I increase, and then I'll put it on this short 16-inch needle. So, and it's a blue.
I'm almost finished with my carrots.
Oh, carrots! That sounds good.
I just have a few stitches left of this carrot, and I'll be done with all these orange carrots.
Well, thank you for joining us. Happy early November.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Here comes the dog. Bye.